great organization to be a part of, and if anything else is needed upon with Palm Springs Unified School District, I would be more than willing to help participate in this organization. So thank you very much, board members.
All right, that's always fun. Next up is public comments. Clerk Esperqueta, have we received any email comments this evening?
Yes, President Gerardo, we received one electronic comments that had been distributed to the Board of Education.
Thank you very much. In-person comments, please remember all comments are to be directed to the board, be under 3 minutes, and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. And please understand that board members do not respond to public comments because we can only talk about what's on the agenda. First up, I have Rebecca Gutierrez.
Good evening, President Girardi, school board members, Dr. Senior A, cabinet members, audience members, and my Teamster brothers and sisters. My name is Rebecca Gutierrez, and I am the school administrative assistant at Painted Hills Middle School, and I am a Teamster shop steward. I'm here this evening in support of the appointment of Dr. Tony Senior A as our next superintendent of schools. I officially met Dr. Senior A in 2005 while I was working at the front desk in Human Resources. From the beginning, I noticed what a highly motivated, hardworking, dedicated, and professional individual he was. I was even more impressed to hear him speak fluent Spanish. It is comforting to know that not only he has been an employee at Palm Springs Unified, but he is also one of our parents. As the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, he has shown support to the classified staff and has been open to hearing our voices during negotiations. I strongly believe that Dr. Senior A will be a great addition to Palm Springs Unified School District as our Superintendent of Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. Next up is Michael Leon.
You would have to make me follow Rebecca, but okay. Good evening, President Girardi, school board members, Dr. Senior, cabinet members, audience members, and my Teamster brothers and sisters in the house. My name is Michael Leon, and I'm the business representative for Teamsters Local 911. We represent all the classified employees here at PSUSD. Teamsters have experienced a great working relationship with the district's leadership team. When I first began working with your district, I had the opportunity to work with Ms. Pitts. Now my new contact person is Mr. Zink. The transition was seamless, and we continue to make strides to improve the district for both parties. Teamsters believe that the district is going in the right direction and feel confident that the future looks bright. This accomplishment is not the result of an accident or good luck. We know it comes from good leadership. The most important part of a team is the person in charge. You need somebody that has a successful record of accomplishments, a person that knows the district, a person that has a vision of what the district needs and where it needs to go, a person with a passion for students. Fortunately, you have a person amongst you that fit all of those criteria and then some. That person is Dr. Cierne. I've had the opportunity to work with him when I arrived, mostly at the negotiation table. He has been a true opponent and teammate, making sure he met his fiduciary responsibilities for the district, but still recognizing the need to support our members by providing them a livable wage and good working conditions. I have represented classified school employees for over 22 years, and I have seen so many times the districts would spend thousands of dollars to search for a new superintendent, with the end result of bringing someone in that takes 2 years to learn what needs to be done, plus taking money out of the general fund that Teamsters could be using to negotiate to improve the lives of our members and their families. I'm sorry, but I have to be true to my vocation to maintain the objectives of the Teamsters. But there is no need for a search. You have that person, the right person here in place already. Teamsters urge the board to appoint Dr. Cierne as the new superintendent so we can move this district forward. Too much time has been wasted during the pandemic. We are coming back now, and we need a leader to hit the ground running on day one and get the job done. Once again, Teamsters urge the board to do the right thing and vote in favor of Dr. Cierne to become PSUSD's new superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other speaker cards, so we will move on to board member comments. No, I'm sorry. First, we have a public hearing. Item 11, okay. The board now opens the public hearing on textbooks and instructional materials compliance for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Have any comments been received by the district as to textbooks and instructional materials compliance for the fiscal year 2023-2024? No. You got it, yeah. Sorry.
President Girardi, we don't receive any written comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sergio. Is there anyone present who wishes to provide oral comments on the textbooks and instructional materials compliance for the fiscal year 2023-2024? Seeing no oral comments, I now declare the public hearing closed. All right, now that brings us to board member comments. Anybody have anything they'd like to share this evening?
I did. Okay. Again, thank you to the people who provided public comments. It's always nice to hear what people think that work for us, and also from the community and from parents. Was able to attend a very positive meeting with the City of Rancho Mirage City Council members, Tom Wild and Lynn Maldonado, and their city manager, Mr. Hagerman. Dr. Cierne and Jeff Simmons also attended. We were able to discuss mutual interests of the city and the district, which I think was great to get those 2x2s going again. I also attended the Board of Education Foundation Board Subcommittee with Mr. Girardi, and we were discussing upcoming events of the foundation. Currently, the classroom grants are underway. The foundation had a very successful shoe giveaway, and the foundation's Bollywood event at the Air Museum is October 7th, and last year it was really fun, so hopefully a lot of people will come out for that. I also got to attend the All Valley Mayors and Tribal Chairpersons Luncheon. It was great to see all of the mayors in our valley talk about not only Hurricane Hillary and the damage that was done, but to really work with our supervisor, Manny Perez, and also work with the state and with the federal government to try to provide assistance to all the damage that was done, and also just to talk about all the issues in their city and all the good things that they're doing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Charlie?
Yeah, mine is a little short. I think Karen kind of touched on some of the items and things that I wanted to talk about. I as well went to the All Valley Mayors and Tribal Chairpersons luncheon. It was pretty great to see all of the people throughout our entire valley there in attendance. It was well represented. There was people from all over there, and so you can barely see the people that you actually came with because there was so many people there. And I also attended the LPAC parent engagement. I want to say that the parent engagement is doing a good job with the LPAC. And also I went to the APAC meeting as well. And so I just want to say thank you guys for being supportive of our parents and also giving our parents an opportunity to have their voices heard. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Madonna?
I'll go next. In our board agenda this evening, we have appreciation for donors, and many times we don't read their names, and if we just say their names, we want them to know they are very important to us. So we received gifts again, $4,500 from the Anderson Foundation for renovating, for making classroom calming areas in schools. We received $200 for our heart challenge from the American Heart Association. This is a big one, from the Racket Club Estates Neighborhood Organization. $200 gift cards from Amazon times 36. $72,000 for student supplies. Desert Hot Springs Middle School received $100 first to finish and $268 from Mr. Charles Cole for Ranch Mirage High School office supplies. So we appreciate you, and I will promise to read your names every time we meet. We are so fortunate as a board to have a very special person. Her name is Denise Lopez. She helps us as a school board from the California School Board Association. She joined us the other day for the mayor and tribal chairperson luncheon, and she is one of our support people from California School Board Associations who's been with us and with me as a delegate to the assembly for the past 7 years. So I just want to give a shout out to her. As with my colleagues, we attend, actually on August 30th, I spoke at our very first parent advisory group via Zoom with Dr. Signoret, and many of our board members comes to all of these Zoom events with me, and I had the chance to talk about the statistics and the state of the district. And it's a really good presentation to update our public community members and people in our parent groups and across our district about what's changed and what do our kids see in our district. What are they offered? What if they need help? And so I was really excited to present to them. And I want to give a thank you to Joan Boyko, because she actually gets this presentation looking just beautiful for us every year. And I will be presenting again to the Ranch Mirage Rotary next week, and soon after that, Thousand Palms. So thank you, Joan, and all of the parent groups and councils that I've been on Zoom with. I just have to drop a few names, including Jim Pfeffer, Anna Matthews, Charlie Irvin, the Parents Center, Dr. Signoret. We have PAC guidelines draft in Spanish and in English coming. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. We have Don Slusser back. We have our parent engagement specialist, parents, community members, fellow board members. The start of the year is just off with a bang. We're moving really fast, and the district is just very, very proactive and productive. So my last comments, I think it was on September 1st, about the time of the rainstorm down valley. We received this really important information about this report. And the report was from the U.S. News Education um, online source that talked about the top schools in the state of California. So we're reading this report, and I'm looking at schools, and it's just interesting. It catches my eye that number 385, the number one highest school in all of Coachella, is Palm Springs High School. Let's give them a hand. Yes. Now, this is based on a number of criteria, and I can't tell you that criteria right now. But in the 5 top Coachella Valley high schools in this area, 3 of those high schools are from Palm Springs Unified. And so, I won't mention number 2, and number 3, but number 4 is number 781, Rancho Mirage High School. Let's give them a hand. Yes. And close right after that is Cathedral City High School, number 790. Let's give them a hand too. Now, this is really prestigious. This is really important. And if we look at the whole state of California, Palm Springs High School is number 1,536. And this is a high ranking, and this is really important because after this pandemic and after coming back into a different world, we see that we are still making advances, and we are showing to our students that they can be successful. And so congratulations to all of our high schools on their accomplishments. That's good. Thank you.
Go right ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. I attend also the all Valley Mayors and Tribal Chairperson luncheon with my colleagues. And I want to say something similar to my colleague, but the main topic was the effect caused by the tropical storm. But one conversation that they take very serious is how to improve the infrastructure to the entire Coachella Valley, but they focus in the Desert Hot Spring city, how to improve the all connection that is affected not only in this storm when it's raining, when it's windy, Indian, Ginautri, Vistachino. I think they are taking this conversation very serious to do something in the short term. Also, they talk about improving access to quality internet for the underserved community. That is another good news that is doing in collaboration with the whole Coachella Valley and the county and all levels of government. Also, they're talking about good news giving now new affordable housing projects in different cities, and also the economic development to increase the income for the families in the Coachella Valley. Also, I'm attending two packed Zoom meetings, Latino Parent Advisory Council and the African American Parent Advisory Council. I can add information about or learning about how why is the opportunities to participate as parent and community member. For example, the Family Engagement Center, they coordinate a lot of groups like the Parental Advisory Council, committees, School Site Council, they call another version that's called Parent in Action that cover PTA, PTG, and PTOs. Parents Academy, English and GED classes, and that one is in collaboration with the Coachella Valley Adults School. I think I know that most of this participation or all of this participation is volunteer, but it's necessary to know how the education system works and to be able learning or participating in one of these groups will be be able to help better our entire student population. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Just real quick, first I want to thank the Teamsters that came here and were represented. I've been on this board now going on 9 years, and I don't remember ever seeing the Teamsters come to a board meeting. So I think that speaks volumes of what's happening. Also, I read something I thought was pretty interesting, that we have a program, Vision to Learn, at Vista Del Monte Elementary School. And they screened, I think, the entire student population there, and they came up with about 152 students that need some kind of eye health correction or assistance. And so they're going to go back at the end of the month, I believe, and figure out what those students need and how they can help them. So I'm really thankful for that, and hopefully, I'm not that familiar with the program, but maybe that's a program we can roll out district-wide, or at least to more areas in our districts. I really, really appreciated that. Also, I just want to thank all our high schools. We know that the teachers, the staff, the administration work very, very hard and are truly committed to student achievement and success at their schools. So I want you to know that this board is very appreciative and very thankful for all you guys do. With that, I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, President Girardi. Since our last board meeting, which was August 22nd, it seems like an eternity has passed. So bear with me. I just have a few things that I'd like to report on. But first of all, relative to Tropical Storm Hillary, I just want to publicly, again, thank every single staff member, every individual in our organization, from the board, cabinet, PSTA, Teamsters, our management team, simply every single staff member. You were all amazing. That was quite the event in the middle of the year, and the way everybody handled that was truly exceptional. I just want to publicly thank you, and also everybody that was so community-minded. Members of our community in Cathedral City especially were severely impacted, and having staff go out there, our Cathedral City High School football team going out there and contributing, that was just, again, really shows that this is a family more than an organization. So just really thank all of you. Since then, my biggest concern was the impact with the restart. We had such a great motivational start to the school year, and I was worried about losing some momentum. But led by Dr. Kovacs, Dr. Killian, Mrs. Whiteman, I've had the pleasure of conducting several school site visits as part of our TLC process, and I've gotten quite a few steps in throughout the process. It's been great. But we visited 17 schools so far. And other than having to reorient some of our TK and kindergarten students to remember that, no, you don't go home after lunch. You still have 2 hours of school left. The positive momentum is going extremely well. So again, big tribute to all of our staff. We've also been doing a great job of connecting with our city leadership. I had a meet and greet with the Council of Cathedral City, and as Member Cornett mentioned, our first 2x2 with Rancho Mirage in, I believe, in nearly 2 years. But the meeting was extremely well and facilitated also by a lot of the discussion with Mr. Jeff Simmons. And we have several more of those meetings scheduled in the next coming weeks, not only 2x2s, but meet and greets with the council. So really our partnerships with our government leadership is going very well. Speaking of meet and greet, I had my very first greet and meet with community staff and students at Cathedral City High School. That was extremely well, and I'd like to personally thank Mr. Chavez, Mr. Wall, Mrs. Barch, and Mr. Diliberto. They did an excellent job of organizing that event. And we have similar events scheduled for Palm Springs High, Desert Hot Springs High, and Rancho Mirage. And really, the goal with those meetings is really connecting with the community staff and students. Last but not least, this Friday, September 15th, el 15 de septiembre, marks the start of our National Hispanic Heritage Month, which runs through October 15th. Several of our sites have planned events starting this Friday, such as Vista del Monte Elementary, and Raymond Cree Middle School. So please show your support for those school events. I'll be attending the event sponsored by El Club de Mujeres Latinas, Desert Hot Springs High School. I think Mr. Espericueta, I believe some other board members. I'm not sure if anybody else will be able to attend, but that should be a wonderful event, their first one that they'll have this coming Friday. So just one message, así que a toda nuestra comunidad latina les mando un abrazo y demuestren este mes con muchísimo respeto y orgullo nuestra cultura. So thank you, Mr. Jardy, and that concludes my report.
All right, brings us to item 14, board action items. 14A is approval of certificated and classified employee transactions, OE 4.4.
All right, I'd like to call Mr. Paul Manis up to the podium to join me, please. We're happy to recommend Mr. Paul, more commonly known as Ben Manis, as the Coordinator of Student Services. Mr. Manis started his career as a multiple subject teacher with LAUSD in 2003 before becoming a special education teacher in Yucaipa-Calamasa Joint Unified School District. He's been with our district since 2014. He's currently a counselor at Edward L. Winslow Educational Center, and he has served as a lead counselor, an administrative designee, and as a conscious education facilitator. Mr. Manis earned his bachelor's degree from California State University, Northridge, and his master's degree from Grand Valley State University. His administrative services credential was attained through CSU Bakersfield. Mr. Brad Seipel, principal at Mount San Jacinto High School and Edward L. Winslow Education Center, strongly supports Mr. Manis, stating that he has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the well-being and safety of students and staff. With compassion and professionalism, he is confident that we would find him as a strong leader, a good decision maker, and an exceptional supporter of students. We too believe that Mr. Manis, or Ben, will be a tremendous asset to the Student Services Department in his new role. Congratulations, Mr. Manis. Would you like to share any comments with the board?
I just want to express my gratitude to each of you on the board and cabinet, with a special acknowledgement to Dr. Kovac, who was my first principal at Della Lindley Elementary School, an exceptional leader and mentor to me. I am truly excited for this opportunity to support and serve our students, their families, and this community in this new role as coordinator. I'm eager and excited to engage in meaningful collaboration with the phenomenal student services team, Lisa Todd, Laura Musel, and the entire team. And I just thank you for your trust and support.
Now I'd like to invite Mr. Christopher Regan to the podium. We're also pleased to recommend Mr. Christopher Regan as the Coordinator of Special Education, Learning and Improvement. Mr. Regan joined the district earlier this year as a program specialist in Special Education Department. He earned his bachelor's degree in Spanish from the University of Puget Sound, a master's degree in education from the University of Pepperdine, and an additional master's degree in educational leadership from Cal State University, Northridge. Mr. Regan started his career in education in 1999 at Calabasas High School as a Spanish teacher. He has several years of experience as a site administrator at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. Before joining our district earlier this year, he worked at Beverly Hills Unified School District as a school site administrator since 2017. Since joining our district, he has already been successful in building strong relationships and a positive reputation within the special education department. Ms. Jody Curtis, Director of Special Education, stated that Mr. Regan is well equipped to provide instructional support and training and is highly respected across school sites in his current leadership role. We agree with Ms. Curtis, and we believe that Mr. Regan will be a very successful addition to this team. Congratulations, Mr. Regan. Do you like to make any comments?
Board President Girardi, Board of Education, Dr. Signoret, and Cabinet. I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. As was mentioned, I just joined the district in April of this year and have found a wonderful working relationship with everyone that I've come in contact with. I'd like to thank my parents for being here tonight. They've been a huge support for me. I'm glad they didn't bring the signs that they said they were going to bring, because they love to embarrass me, but that's okay. I'd also like to thank Jody Curtis, who has been phenomenal of welcoming me and encouraging me to do more and more. And so I'm really looking forward to this position and seeing what I can do to help students and getting back into that educational leader, instructional leader position. So I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you all very much, and I can't wait to see where we can go. Thank you.
All right, may I get a motion to approve the following employment agreements? Employment agreement with Paul Ben Manis, Coordinator of Student Services, Salary Schedule 223, Column 4, Step 16, effective September 13th, 2023. And the employment agreement with Christopher Reagan, Coordinator of Special Education, Instructional Improvement, Salary Schedule 223, Column 4, Step 16, effective September 13th, 2023.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations to the both of you. It looks like you both report tomorrow morning. All right, item 14B, approval of unaudited actuals for the fiscal year 2022-2023 OE6. Mr. Jeff Simmons will give us a presentation. Can we go get? Yes.
So, little error on my part. I downloaded the PDF instead of the PowerPoint, so it's going to look a little different on the presentation screen, and I apologize.
Just one more thing I'm challenged with here, including this tall microphone. No, that's all right. It's not my fault. I'm a little short. That's okay. So, all right. Well, thank you, Dr. Signoret and the board, for allowing me to present this very brief overview of, see, I knew I was going to get a smile out of you. Very brief overview of the unaudited actuals. More details are in the full report, so I'll be happy to answer anything on that if you like, but that was presented with the public packet there. So I'd also like to thank, in all seriousness, Tony Carrillo, who is here this evening, our Director of Fiscal Services. He and his team are really the ones that put this together. I just have the privilege of presenting it to you. So I'd like to thank the entire business, fiscal, payroll team. And really, I'd like to thank every single department. I mean, we really work very well together. To close out the books or to do a budget or anything, it really takes HR, Ed Services, the superintendent, all of us working together to make sure that we close the books properly, and even when we do the budgeting. So I apologize. How do we do that? There's no wheel. Oh, okay, that works. That doesn't work. It may take a little longer now, so it's not as brief. Wait, what did you just do? Oh, swipe it up, okay. Okay. So forgive me if you already know this. I obviously this is the first time presenting to the Palm Springs board, and I just want to make sure that you have a thorough overview of how the budget calendar works for every district, really. So in June, you adopt a budget. It's usually put together and through the hard work of the team in April and May. It's adopted in June, In August, you have the opportunity to do a 45-day revise. This is actually very rare. It's only if major changes are happening at the state level that you generally would. I asked all around Riverside County to get one response of anybody doing a 45-day revision this year, so we didn't do it either. September, RCOE approves it. It's very rare for them to conditionally approve or deny. In October, the board has the opportunity to respond. Again, very rare. November, the county reviews the district's response and approves or disapproves of it. That's only if it was conditional or they denied it. So those things generally do not happen. But in December, you certify the first interim report, which we basically stop everything as of October 31st, make a large report to you, first interim, report it out, you approve it. And then again in March, we do the second interim. Generally, there's not a third interim required. So by the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, we kind of start that other process over again with a new one. But in closing out these books, we do that in August, and then September. Right now, you approve the unaudited actuals in November and December. The auditors take a look at these unaudited actuals and all of our processes, and then they finalize the audit with you in January. See if I can get this technology going. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So typical, you kind of want to know where all the expenses are coming from. So I broke it down by percentage here. And these are the main components of our expenditures. There are other expenditures, and I'll go over those in just a second, but personnel is the big one, obviously. 86% of our unrestricted general fund is spent on personnel. Now, you might have heard us talk about 1,000s, 2,000s, 3,000s, et cetera. The 1,000s those are object codes. The 1,000s are certificated employees. The 2,000s are classified employees. And the 3,000s are fixed charges such as STRS and PERS, benefits, and Social Security, et cetera. So all those three combine to make personnel. Supplies are the 4,000s, the 5,000s are services, and the 6,000s is capital outlay. That's your major projects and stuff. There are other things like transfers in and transfers out, and indirect charges and contributions. You probably hear us talk a lot about contributions to SPED and so forth. But those balance each other out, so between the unrestricted and restricted side, so they really zero each other out. So these are the ones that we mainly talk about here for this particular purpose. So any questions on this area right here? So just to let you know, the contributions this year for special ed totaled about 19 million, and then for the 3% that we're required to do for routine restricted maintenance was about 12.8 million. So when we combine those, this is what it looks like when we talk about the combined general fund. And again, it's all the personnel is about 79%. The supplies, 5%, 14% for services, and capital outlay was about 2%. Generally, capital outlay is not so much out of the general fund. That's your other funds like Fund 21 for bonds, 25 for developer fees, Fund 40 specifically for projects of that nature. So the one thing I want to point out here is last year there was an audit finding because the district is required to spend 55% of its expenditures on the classroom instruction, which includes classroom teachers and their aides. So there was an audit finding last year that we couldn't prove that we fulfilled that particular level. This year I'm happy to report that we are over 55%, so we should be good on the audit. So in reviewing everything that has to do with the audit, including our processes, it looks like we're going to have a solid audit. I have no worries.
Jeff?
Yes.
May I ask?
Sure.
Just off the top of your head, has last year's general fund expenditures changed much, or just looked about the same last year?
In a couple slides, we'll kind of go over
We'll
that.
see that? We'll see that?
But yeah, it has changed. For example, the LCAP last year we ended with a fallout of about 18 million. This year the LCAP fallout was only about 6.3 million. So we're doing a lot better with our expenditures, but there was still some fallout. So. Thank you. Okay. Before we get to the fund balances and kind of getting into that question, I wanted you guys, there's a misconception of what people call reserves. Everybody talks about reserves. Oh, you got this amount in your reserves. Reserves is actually only one component of the fund balance. What they're generally saying when they say you have this much in reserves is they're talking about your entire fund balance, is what they're typically talking about. So these are the components of fund balance. You got your restricted balance, which is all your restricted resources and stuff like ESSER and Title I, Title II, et cetera. You've got commitments that the board has authorized. We have a little bit over $15 million in commitments that a while back the board chose to commit it for. Tony, can you help me out on that one? What was that for? Structural deficit, that's what it's called. Yes, sorry. So that was quite a while back before I got here. And then there's assignments, which is usually by me. It could be made up of balances such as lottery, the site balances, and so forth. And there could also be some contingencies in there as well. There's a list of those assignments that are in your packet as one of the separate attachments. And then you have your reserves. Well, the reserves is 3%. That's what's required to be the actual reserves. And then you have anything that's left over as unassigned. Let's get into what that fund balance looks like. Okay, so here we have, under the revenues, to kind of go into what Madonna was asking about, between estimated actuals, and that's really what we're comparing here, is how we thought we were going to end compared to how we actually ended. When it comes to that for revenues, we did actually get a little bit of a bump in revenues that we weren't necessarily expecting at estimated actuals. That included a little bit in lottery, and it also included the transportation add-on. I know back in, I think it was May, I was sitting in the audience and you had a transportation add-on presentation. That was like $1.9 million from last year. It's $2.9 million for this year. And there was a question at that time, what are you going to be doing with, how does that work as far as the general fund? I think it might have been Madonna that asked that. So really it goes into the general fund because the transportation's already been budgeted, so it'll be used for other areas. So in the expenditures, like I already talked about, we had to follow up most of that, 7 million-ish there on the expenditures from estimated to unaudited was made up from that LCAP follow-up. And then what we were expecting was actually to be pretty much close, right on, maybe a little bit of a deficit. We ended up with $10 million in additional funds based on the increase in revenue and the decrease in expenditures that kind of fell out of the budget. So going down a little bit, the components here, revolving cash, that's just a given, and we always keep $100,000 there. The stores are your inventory. Prepaid is what we prepaid for 23-24 that we put here in the fund balance. This is your reserve. You might be wondering why it's lower than what was expected. That's because the expenditures were lower than what was expected. It's a percentage of the expenditures. And then the commitments, those remain standard, because again, it's the board that has to approve any additional or removal of that line. And then the assignments is where we put most of this additional funds, because it fell out either for balances like lottery, the site carryover. They had a lot of carryover this year. They didn't spend all their money for most of the sites. So those type of things went into the assignments. All right, a couple things to note here. The unrestricted ending balance for funds 03 and 17, that's another kind of unrestricted fund. It's not part of the general fund, but it still goes hand in hand with these fund balances. That's 18.6%.
Jeff,
Yes.
I got a quick question for
Perfect.
you. Right there on the components, ending balance,
Yes.
what is that unassigned amount? It's different from $0 to $2,700,000.
Right. So unassigned is those areas that we didn't identify as being a balance of anything else or a contingency that was needed or anything else. It's at this particular point, it's kind of in limbo. It's there, it can be used, but on just, about anything. Okay. And keep in mind what's in fund balance. Usually fund balance is like a savings account. If you spend it, it's no longer there with you in that savings account. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Typically, we think of it as one-time funds in order to be able to deplete that, unless it's getting excessive, and then we keep having these rollovers every year. Then you can consider some of it ongoing, but you have to identify in the particular budget what it is that's actually rolling over, and we'll be identifying that.
So with that unassigned amount, is that rolling over or is that a one-time?
Technically, this is money that we've identified that we can pull from other areas of the budget and use it for whatever. So this would be what we've identified as ongoing money that we can use and still feel comfortable with the fund balance that we have. Generally, my comfort level, we're at 18.6. The state average is 22.2 for unrestricted. So we're a little lower than the state average there. So but we're still Decent, my comfort level is about 17% because that's 2 months of cash. And cash is king, so you want to make sure that you're holding on to a little bit in your savings account to make sure that you can cover your expenses in case some fallout happens at the state level. State level is very shaky right now, so you never know, right? Any other questions here? All right, so that was the general fund. Let's look at, that's the unrestricted general fund. Let's look at the restricted side here. Now this includes ESSER and Title I, Title II, all those. The main fallout here was the way this happens is you have to budget all of the expenses. And we got a lot of money in ESSER funds. So you have to budget all of those expenditures, and whatever doesn't get spent throughout the year, then it falls, it doesn't go into fund balance, it falls out into a carryover for next year. So we budget it, and then a lot of times it falls out and moves into the next year. So we ended up with quite a bit there. Adult education ended pretty well. Child development ended pretty well. Cafeteria, same thing. A little bit of higher revenue that we identified from federal and state levels is what caused that bump. Special reserves, that Fund 17 I was talking about, that remained about what was expected. The building fund, which is the bonds, again, projects that weren't quite finished in the fiscal year had to be moved to the next year. So what we budgeted, you actually had fallout, goes into fund balance, and gets spent in the following year. Capital facilities, same thing. It ended up just being whether it was, supply chain issues or whatever. So, and then capital projects, same as well. There was a little bit of bump there. We had an increase in some deferred maintenance funding, but again, there was some supply issues and stuff that caused, this overflow, if you will. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, is cafeteria, is that our food service?
Yes, nutrition services, yes.
Can we use that for anything else but
No.
nutrition services?
Nope, it's just nutrition services.
Thank you.
Yes. And that, you got to be proud of them, actually, because in many districts, they encroach on the general fund. This district, they do not. And I was surprised about that.
Just off the top of my head, it seems a little large. But you would know better than me.
I think a lot of that is still remaining from COVID, and some of the resources and whatnot they were given during that time. I have a feeling they'll end up start spending it down, but they've been getting a lot of grants here lately too. So it's multi-year grant, so they don't spend it in that year. So it just goes into their balance until they spend it down. So it'll get spent down. I did do Cielo Vista separately because technically they're their own entity, even though they fall under our financials of Fund 09. So they ended just about what we thought they would. There was some adjustments from the Learning Recovery Block Grant and the ESSER funds for revenue. Those were reduced from the state level. And then expenditures were also reduced a little bit. So it left a little bit of a higher ending balance than what we thought. But still, they're ending pretty strongly. Any questions on Cielo Vista? All right, good news, bad news. Like I said, the district, Cielo Vista, ended very strongly. We always got to have that, right? I'm a CBO, I'm sorry. So we ended very strongly. The start of this school year, we had, and I've been sending you reports, we've had a bit of a decline in enrollment, again, below what our projections were. At one point, we're at 526 as of the 8th, just last Friday. We're at 417 below the projection. So we're climbing a little bit. The CBEDS date, the official enrollment day that we get is October 4th. So we'll know what our official quote-unquote enrollment is, but we're still going to be pretty far below projections. That doesn't affect us this year because our finances is based on the prior 3-year average. So really, not much is going to affect what we're anticipating from this year as far as revenue. But it will affect us over the next 3 years because it's going to be involved in the prior 3-year averages, right? So it's going to take an effect on the next few years. That's why it's so important, and we've been pushing attendance and ADA rate to go from that 89% to 94% as quickly as possible to get out of this prior 3-year cycle, and so we can begin to see what our bottom part is and then begin to climb back up. So,
Jeff.
Yes.
Do we have a plan put in place for that to get that number up so we don't have to wait until 3 years and be put in a situation? Do we have a plan that we're working on or pursuing?
So as part of our goal-setting meetings with, that Cabinet has done with every single principal, that is one of the areas that we've asked them, what is your site plan to increase attendance? And every one of them have a different plan. But some of the most effective things have been coming out of trainings from our COE. Several schools have gone to that training, and they're really implementing some good strategies and stuff to increase that ADA. So every school is going to be slightly different in what their plan is, because every community is a little bit different in how they approach their particular schools and so forth. All right, and then the next multi-year projection that we'll do, this isn't a multi-year projection, these are the facts, this is what, this is where we ended. The next multi-year projection will be at the first interim in December. That will include the new money that was from the Prop 28 Arts Music grant. We're working on with Ed Services to develop a plan on that. And then it'll also show the reduction from the Learning Recovery Grant and the reduction in the equity multiplier, that both of those were not too favorable for the district. So we'll go over that at that first interim. And then the recommendation is for you to approve the unaudited actuals here, OE6, and then later in the action items, approve the resolution to reconcile the estimated actuals with the unaudited actuals, because in our accounting system, it's listed as our estimated actuals until you approve that, and then it gets switched to what the actual numbers are, the unaudited actuals here. So, any other questions? Any questions? Nope. Thank you so much.
Okay. May I get a motion to pass item 14B, approval of the unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2022-2023, OE6?
I move the motion.
How about a second?
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Did they teach you that in CBO school? I have good news and bad news. Did you take that class? All right, 14C, approval of proclamation of Attendance Awareness Month, September 2023. I believe Board Member Cornett is going to read this proclamation for us. I do not.
I have kind of astigmatism, so I'll do the best I can.
Okay, thank you.
Oops, it went away. Oh, goodness. Let me see if I can get it back.
Click it again.
It just went away. I gotta click something. It'll clock back, yes. Okay. She's got a hard copy.
There you go.
Thank you. I have a stigma. Oh, there. Put it up big. Well, to go along with the good news, bad news, that this month is Attendance Awareness Month, which we all know that attendance at school is absolutely necessary if students are going to be successful. So Palm Springs Unified School District Attendance Awareness Month, September 2023. Whereas good attendance is essential to student achievement and graduation, and we are committed to dedicating our resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as preschool and kindergarten. So we really need to work on getting those kindergartners and preschool into our schools. Whereas chronic absence, missing 10% or more of school for any reason, is a proven predictor of academic trouble and dropout rates. Whereas improving attendance and reducing chronic absence takes commitment, collaboration, and tailored approaches to unique challenges and strengths in each community. Whereas chronic absence predicts lower third grade reading proficiency, course failure, and eventual dropout, it weakens our communities and our local economy. And whereas attendance gaps among groups of students often turn into achievement gaps that undermine student success, chronic absence particularly exacerbates the achievement gap that separates students in low-income communities from their peers, since students from low-income communities are both more likely to be chronically absent and more likely to be affected academically by missing school. Whereas schools and community partners can reach out more frequently to absent students to determine why they are missing school and what would help them attend more regularly. And whereas chronic absence can be significantly reduced when schools, parents, and communities work together to monitor and promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on September 12, 2023, the Governing Board of Palm Springs Unified School District proclaims the month of September as Attendance Awareness Month, passed and adopted by the Governing Board of Palm Springs Unified School District this 12th of September 2023. And Dr. Signoret is going to sign it because he's going to, Tony Signoret, Secretary to the Governing Board of the Palm Springs Unified School District, Riverside County, State of California, do hereby certify that the foregoing proclamation was duly approved and adopted by the Governing Board at a regular meeting held on September 12, 2023. No. Do I have more to read? To add to that, it would be nice at some point just to have maybe a little update on what schools are doing to try to get kids to come to school. And I know that Student Services is well aware of the need to get our kids into school also, and some of the work maybe that you're doing. If you could let the board know exactly, what are the protocols that you're using and our employees to try to get our kids to come. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. So can we get a motion to approve item 14C, please?
Move for approval.
How about a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. 14D, approval of consolidated application and reporting systems, CARS, for 2023-2024. May I get a motion to approve this item?
Move for approval.
How about a second, please?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
14E, approval of certificated and classified employee salary schedules, OE 5. May I get a motion to approve item 14E?
Move for approval.
We have a motion. How about a second, please?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 14F, approval to authorize the issuance of an invitation to bid the high school field lighting projects at Cathedral City High School, Desert Hot Springs High School, Palm Springs High School, and Rancho Mirage High School, OE 12.13. May we get a motion?
Move for approval.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. 14G, approval of escrow agreement for security deposits in lieu of retention, number C 000455-3E, for leaseback agreement number C 000455-3, site and facilities lease for the Della S. Lindley Elementary School Modernization Project with West Coast Air Conditioning Incorporated, OE 12.11. May we get a motion to approve that?
I move for approval.
Thank you. How about a second?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Excuse me. 14H, approval of escrow agreement for security deposits in lieu of retention, number C 000453-7E, for leaseback agreement number C 00045537, site and facilities lease for the James Workman Middle School Modernization Project with Bernard's Incorporated, OE 12.11. May I get a motion to approve that?
Move for approval.
And we need a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 14I, approval of escrow agreement for security deposits in lieu of retention, number C 0004539E, for leaseback agreement number C 0004539, site and facilities lease for the Landau Elementary School Modernization Project with Bernards Incorporated, OE 12.11. May I get a motion to approve that?
Move for approval.
We have a motion. How about a second, please?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. 14J, approval of escrow agreement for security deposits in lieu of retention, number C0004538E, for leaseback agreement number C0004538. Site and facilities lease for the Sunny Sands Elementary School Modernization Project with Bernards Incorporated, OE 12.11. May I get a motion to approve that, please?
Move for approval.
And how about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. 14K, approval of amendment number 2 to agreement C0004059 for architectural engineering services for the Cathedral City High School Modernization Project, OE 6.3. May we get a motion for that, please?
I move for approval.
And how about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that motion passes. 14L, approval of amendment number 2 to leaseback contract, Education Code 17406 with West Coast Air Conditioning Company, Inc., for the Della S. Lindley Elementary School Modernization Project, OE 12.11. Somebody would like to make a motion?
Move for approval.
How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. 14N, M, adoption of resolution number 2023/2024-10, public textbooks and instructional materials compliance for the fiscal year 2023-2024, OE 10. How about a motion to approve that, please?
Move for approval.
Thank you. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 14N, adoption of resolution number 2023/2024-11, adoption of appropriations due to the reconciliation of the estimated actuals to the unaudited actuals ending fund balances for the year end 2022/2023, OE 6. May I get a motion, please?
Move for approval.
And how about a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 14O, adoption of resolution number 2023/2024-12, adoption of the GAN limit. Can we get a motion for that?
Move for approval.
We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Would anybody like a presentation on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
14P, approval of readmission of the expulsion case 2022/2023-18 to Palm Springs Unified School District, OE 11. How about a motion, please?
Move for approval.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 14Q, approval of expulsion case 2023/2024-001, recommendation and findings of fact and conclusion of law, OE 11. May I get a motion to approve 14Q?
I move for approval.
Thank you, Sergio. We have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. 15 is the superintendent's consent items, where we can make a motion and vote on 15A through 15G. So would anybody like to make that motion? That we approve superintendent consent items 15A to 15G?
Move for approval.
How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. 16A, approval of meeting minutes from August 22nd, 2023. Would somebody like to make that motion to approve those minutes?
Move for approval?
And how about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 17 is information item. 17A is early Head Start and Head Start reports per requirements for the Head Start Act for June 2023. The board has received and reviewed that information. Item 18 is suggestions for future agendas. Anybody have any suggestions tonight? Okay. Item 19 is the setting of our next regular board meeting, which will be September 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. Item 20 is to debrief. Anything you guys want to debrief on?
I just wanted to say how nice it was to meet our new student board members. That was really nice to see them and to get to know them a little bit. So hopefully we'll get to know them a little bit better in the future. I'm sure we will.
All right, item 21 is adjournment. Would somebody like to make a quick motion for adjournment?
Move for adjournment.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, good meeting.